Good afternoon, members, officers, and anyone out there looking at the live stream, because it's usually hundreds of people, so hopefully the same today. I'm Councillor Jose Hales, Chair of the Grants Committee, and my colleague Sue Ellington is the Vice Chair. Can I ask anyone who's joined us remotely today to ensure that their camera and microphone remain off unless they're addressing the committee, and for those who are present in the room, please ensure your microphone is close to you and that you speak clearly when addressing the room. Members, following on from our extraordinary meeting on Monday, got that wrong, officers have gathered the information that we wanted with regards to the Rural England Prosperity Fund, I can never remember what the P meant, grant applications. So I'd like to propose that given the officers have turned this information around so quickly for us, that we bring that agenda item forward. So I'm going to propose that, if I may, which is item number 9, and bring that forward to number 5. Can I have a seconder?
I'm happy to second.
Sue, thank you very much. Can I take that as okay, affirmation? That's it, thank you very much. Okay, so then we're going to get on with the agenda. I'm going to get that now. Right, so before we proceed with our agenda, I'm going to ask, I understand officers with a verbal briefing for us on the Community Growing Small Grant Scheme we established in April, and I'd like to invite Anna Maria to give us that quick update. Over to you, Anna, thank you.
Thank you. So the aim of the project is to inspire and support the establishment of community growing projects throughout the district. And the initiative involves community groups taking care of vegetable gardens and harvest being distributed among community members. Applicants can receive up to £500 in funding to launch a growing project in their community. Since the start of the scheme in April, we have received 4 applications, 3 of which we have approved for funding. The 4th application was based in Cambridge City and was not eligible for funding. The 3 projects we have funded so far are as follows. The first group is in Barton, is a Sri Lankan community, which will grow vegetables as a community project, and the produce will be shared among group members and with Hope CIC to support their community initiatives. The second application is from Hope CIC, and they will grow vegetables in Histon and Girton Farm in Girton. And the harvest will be distributed through Hope CIC Mobile Food Project. And the third one is the Melbourne Time Bank, and this group will take over the community allotment plot in Melbourne, growing vegetables and plants for community use. And the project will be available through their social prescribers and Time Bank members and will be shared by the Melbourne Food Bank. That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, any comments? No? Okay, well, I just like to say thank you very much. Thank you for all the work you're putting into this. Can you remind me how much is in the actual budget for this, if you like, altogether?
We have £10,000, £5,000 in the budget to be spent by the end of March. So up to at least 10 projects.
And I remember now, because I remember your face. Sorry. Are you Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Sorry, Chris. I remember the conversation by Dem Services now. Apologies. Okay, thank you. Well, let's hope we can get a few more in and use it up then, sharpish. Thanks. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Agenda item number 1, as seen on the net. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Just one apology today from Councillor Peter Sanford.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Agenda item number 2, which is for members. Any declarations of interest of anything on the agenda today? Councillor Hanley.
Chair, one of the items on the community chest list is Hale Road, Swavesey, Hale Road allotment. So I'm an allotment holder there. So I'm in your hands as to what I can say do.
Now, given that you are an allotment holder, I'm more than happy for you to take part in discussion and share any knowledge you have, but I would be tempted to suggest that you don't bring advice on that particular application. You happy with that, Councillor Handley?
Yes, quite happy.
Yes, apologies. So when I say give advice, I mean as part of the committee in their advice to the lead cabinet member at the end. Again, if you have any information that you can share with the committee, that would be more than welcome with your local knowledge. Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence. And for anybody else, if we find anything you come across as you move through the agenda, just sing out if you feel you got. Oh, thank you very much. Press the button again. Agenda item number 3, minutes of the previous meeting. So go through the usual. Page 1 and page 2. That's it. Any alterations, amendments, comments? Okay, take that as affirmation, then it's okay to sign off. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 4, which is public questions. Do we have any?
No public questions received. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so we've done the groundwork at the start, so we're now going to go over to the REPF grants, because I've forgotten what the P meant again. Right, over to you then, Catherine, thanks.
Thank you very much, Chair. As you all know, we brought the Rural England Prosperity Fund to an extraordinary meeting on Monday. We did have 4 deferrals. We've been lucky enough to come back for this opportunity with some more information on some of the applications. Lawrence, if I could ask you to, brilliant, you're ahead of the game. So I'll start with our first application, which was the Sweetie Factory. Just as a quick reminder, the Sweetie Factory is a producer of handmade confectionery, chocolates, bakery items, grazing platters, and provides business lunches for events, corporate businesses and corporate gifting. They are requesting £12,836 for 2 chocolate tempering machines and an edible ink printer and the supporting equipment. On Monday, it was raised that because it's a home business, that there were some concerns around noise. So the team have taken that away. We've spoken to our environmental health teams. They've been operating for the last 7 years and they've had no complaints made against them, which I think is good news. And they also have a current food hygiene rating of E5, which is the highest rating, and this has been retained for a number of years. The team have looked at specifications for the machines, and we couldn't find any information regarding noise levels or decibels in the specifications online. But again, we've had a conversation with the environmental health officer, and they're familiar with these types of equipment. And they have no concerns, and they think it will be comparable to something like a home desktop printer in terms of noise levels. We also asked to bring back some more information on their business plan. Due to the commercially sensitive nature of this information, we can only provide a summary as follows, which currently the business is generating £33,500 a year turnover, with a £1,350 a year profit. And over the next year, they predict a £76,000 turnover with a £7,780 profit. The owner has also let us know that she's won recent sizable contracts with the London School of Economics and Leeds NHS Hospital. And the owner has also stated that she's actively searching for commercial premises in South Cambs, and this support for the fund will help her grow her business. And just on the PowerPoint, some photos of what the equipment will look like. So again, if you look at the specifications, they're not very big, and they'll just be kind of kitchen side placed.
Brilliant. Thank you, Catherine. Colleagues, any questions? Councillor Linton?
I think that all the questions that we raised and concerns about the commercial premises and so on, and the noise and disturbance to neighbours and so on have been answered and have been addressed adequately. So I'm happy with this.
Are the rest of us happy? I think we are. No one's jumping up and down. So in that case, then we'll take this as an agreement that we're all in agreement. Thank you very much, Catherine. It's a yes from us.
This is Fired Up Pizza. Just as a little recap, Fired Up Pizza was founded in 2017 by a husband and wife team based in Cambourne. They operate from a facility at Childerley Farm Estates in Dry Drayton, where they store their vans and equipment, which they occupy on the premises under licence. They bring their mobile pizza oven to events, setting it up as a store rather than using as a van. It is a seasonal business. However, they do operate in the winter months, Christmas events, fairs, those types of things, as well as private bookings. They have requested £25,000 worth of funding, and they have allocated £2,600 match funding. The committee asked us to provide more information on the business plan and again, the costs of the trailer. If you look up at the PowerPoint, Stephen's just going to run through this with you because it is just far more than just a trailer. And Stephen's got quite an in-depth knowledge of what it can provide and do.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, the trailer, as you can see, is not a traditional trailer. It's actually quite a big piece of kit. It's got the main oven, which is the white area to the right-hand side. That's where the pizza is actually cooked and made. The left side is the two prep areas. So you've got two large kind of stainless steel areas where they can cut and slice the pizza once they're done. There's two sinks on the top part. You can just see the tap sitting proud on the left side there. So they've got wash facilities as well. So it's basically an entire kit that you take somewhere, unhook it from the front, and then the staff can serve it from there. I believe they've got a gazebo with all the logos which they put around it, but this also then opens up into an extra serving area as well. So they've got storage underneath, which is the white bar at the front. I believe that's drawers that opens up. Yeah, thank you. So it's not just a trailer. It's actually almost a full kitchen setup. It's portable, which is why the cost is different. So online, yes, there are trailers, pizza trailers that are in the region of £5,000, but obviously this is the full kit with the oven, which is actually quite a large oven, and it's a brand new one. You can see it's got the chimney and all the kind of extra bits that you'd associate with a pizza oven. But it's a full setup kit. If you can just scroll down for us, Lawrence, if you don't mind. Can you scroll down? That's it. Yeah. So on the next page, it talks about the payload. You can take quite a lot of weight on there. It's got the sinks with the hot water heater as well, which is important. So rather than having to have a lot of these kind of mobile pizza places don't have hot water facilities for washing, which is part of the environmental health check. So actually, this one has got it all built in, so that should help them continue to achieve good ratings on the environmental health ratings. Yeah, I think there's any questions on the actual setup and actual item equipment.
Thanks, David. That trailer, is that just a picture of it, or have they already bought it? Do you know?
That's just a picture from the marketing sales. Yeah.
It does look nice, I have to say. I can see why the description before was somewhat furry.
It's unfortunately called a trailer. I don't know. There's not really a name you could call it because it is a trailer as such, but it's actually almost a little setup, isn't it? Almost behind.
Is it double-sided, or is it?
Yeah, it's got dual-sided setup prep areas.
So one door for the oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So you could have two staff prepping as they come out. Basically, so you can double your prep area. Yeah, and it saves them having to lug about all the equipment that would normally you'd have an extra vehicle with all the extra equipment. So that is an entire setup.
It's basically the kitchen, isn't it? Okay, thank you. Colleagues, any questions? Nope, nope, and nope. That's another thank you very much. Thank you for doing the extra work on this. And that's a yes from us. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just add as well, we did have an email from Councillor Shabona Bacharala, and she just asked us to summarise her support. So please counter support for the local businesses, and again, just requesting that we check the cost of the websites. Again, that was a conversation that we did have on Monday, where we request 3 quotes to ensure that we're getting best value for money.
Thank you. If you could pass out thanks back
Okay,
as a committee for her input. Thanks. Next one.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. And moving on to our last application, which is Hope Against Poverty CIC. Just again, as a little bit of an overview, Hope CIC have requested funding for start-up costs for a community farm project in Girton to pay for tools, equipment, fencing, and a ride-on mower. They have requested £24,770. The committee asked us to review the business plan, provide pictures of the mower. There was also questions around do they have the right skills in order to set up the farm, and there was also a question around the lease from Cambridge County Council on the land. So again, we'll start off, if you just look at the image up on the screen. We did have a conversation around the toiling of the soil, and this lawnmower is far more than just a sit-on lawnmower. Actually, it comes with specialised attachments for doing exactly that, and that's what we what the request for the funding is. So hopefully that gives us a little bit more insight into what the request for the funding was, and we've looked at the business plan. The document is marked as confidential, so we cannot share that in the public domain. However, they have provided us with a 5-year business plan, and we also know that they're also applying for other funding streams to support this. And again, I think from the communities team, we've heard that already this morning. In terms of expertise, they plan to appoint a project manager and assemble a core team with expertise in agriculture, permaculture, commerce, community engagement and project management. And in terms of Cambridge County Council Tennessee lease, they have a 5-year lease in agreement, and this is actually standard practice for Cambridge County Council. And my colleague has spoken to Cambridge County Council and said actually they've got no intention of selling the land, and it's actually green belt. Obviously, that's how it stands at the moment. We obviously can't confirm for longer term plans, but that is currently the lay of the land for Hope CIC.
Thank you. Colleagues, Councillor Enton?
Wasn't this the one where we were concerned about 10 beehives that didn't seem to be anywhere?
That was the one that we've got outstanding.
Ah.
Right, no comments from my colleagues other than the question. So, I beg your pardon, Councillor Humraj.
Seems like they're going to need a lot of staff to work this, a lot of staff with specialist skills. And I'm just wondering, is this going to be cost effective? I mean, those staff will need to be paid. We have questions. I'm not an agriculturist. I mean, is the soil good enough for this sort of thing?
Thank you. As Catherine said, that is one hell of a tractor, or lawnmower, rather. So perhaps, I suppose if you look to modern day farming, they don't need too many people now. It tends to be machinery does most of it. So, hang on, yeah, absolutely, I think.
I mean, this is a little bit out of the usual, but having, in a past life, worked with these sorts of bits of kit, if you're getting a tractor with PTO attachments, which is what these are by the looks of it, with the size of land, you wouldn't need many people to work it. That machine would do an awful lot of work itself as far as the groundworks goes. The rest of the periphery of the site, etc., may take a lot of expertise. But I think the clearance side, that bit of kit, again, having worked with these things, you do an awful lot with very little manpower. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Lawrence. Stephen.
And just to add to that, I don't know if you remember, I mentioned there was a gentleman in Histon who has a similar tractor, and Hope have been in discussions with that person who will come and assist the clearance of the land in the first instance. And I suspect we'll be training the people that want to help in their spare time. So they've got support. And yes, as the machine is quite a big machine, not just an actual mower. So it should be able to do quite a number of jobs.
I think the order of the day here is have a bit of faith. I think this Hope is a pretty good organisation anyway. So they've obviously got their ducks in a row. We've had our answers questioned, I believe. Yep. So are we're in agreement to run with it? Yep. So that's thank you, Catherine and Stephen and Carly. Just on the other outstanding application, that'd be August, yeah? You think? Okay, lovely, thanks. Right then, that's you done. So you can go home and have a little sleep now, yeah? Just, I think on behalf of us all, including you in this, John, sorry about the extra work, but we're really grateful for turning it around so quick. So thank you very much indeed. As I say, it's made the place, the whole process so smooth. So very, very grateful. Thanks. So you can sling your hooks now. Right. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6, which is the Service Support Grant End of Year Progress Report. So I understand from this agenda that it's going to be Emma that's going to be delivering this bit. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. So, as you'll be aware, service support grants are provided to support voluntary and community sector organisations in the district. They fall under 4 themes: mental health and wellbeing, advice services, independent living, and support for the voluntary and community sector. Funding is paid annually for 3 years, from 2023 to 2026, and this report covers the period from April 2023 to March 2024. A total of £167,400 has been agreed to fund 11 organisations annually, as shown in paragraph 6, and £14,250 has also been agreed to fund 3 organisations annually, as shown in the paragraph 7. End-of-year progress reports, including case studies, are provided in Appendix A, and the majority are on track. I won't go into detail on all of these, as I appreciate it's quite a long item, but I'd just like to highlight that a couple of challenges that some of the organisations have been highlighted to us. So we have Arts and Minds on page 11. They've said that only 45% of the participants were from South Cambridgeshire, and only 1 participant was a resident of North Stowe itself. Going forwards, they said that they would refine their referral process, and they've also provided us with additional figures as well. So we're quite satisfied that they are doing what they kind of need to do, but we will be monitoring them. Cambridge Dial-A-Ride on page 25. They've had to cover additional mileage and fuel that they've used. And they've also found that they've continued to find a lack of volunteers, so they're operating at a loss. They're therefore having to increase their passenger contributions. Other revenue routes are being investigated, and the combined authority will also be working with the service on a long-term viability plan. On to page 33, we have COPE. They've had a few difficulties in finding trustees and volunteers. And then on page 38, we have the voluntary network. Apologies for the green text here, that was meant to be black. Where we are still waiting on more information on the specific measures on befriending services and the winter fuel crisis training, as well as some additional figures. Like I said, these organisations will be closely monitored until they are more on track. I'd welcome any questions, thank you.
Thank you. On the page 26 or 25, I think it was, the Dial-A-Ride one, yeah, you said about the extra fuel and the extra costs. I've been reading it twice now and I can't see anything that says why. But I mean, I suppose it's more a point of interest than anything else and the criticism.
I don't think we have actually got that reason. I think it just literally are that there's more journeys that they've had to undertake, and obviously with the rising fuel costs as well, that's contributed to their situation.
Okay, thank you. Right, I have one little request, actually, if I may. It's on page 7 of the agenda, paragraph 3 under details, where you've got the 4 bullet points: mental health and wellbeing, advice services, independent living, and the support for voluntary and community sector. Where you've got all the reports in Appendix A and all the different sums of money that are attributed to the various groups, would it be possible, because we can do it with a calculator, but you might be able to do it a lot easier and quicker, under each of those headings, could we put in brackets what they've had as a lump sum, as, you know, if he just generalises mental health and well-being, if they, whichever one those the applicants fall under, it just gets totted out and put in the set of brackets. Job done. Is that okay? Because it's a kind of nice point of reference to see. Maybe so. And anybody else got any point of Councillor Hinton?
I think one of the things that came up in your presentation was the problem that all of these voluntary organisations are having in finding recruits and people to help them do jobs. And I think we need to perhaps flag that up and say, is this something we should try to promote and prioritise as in the future? You know, through, say, I know we do quite a bit of it through the magazine and through our postings, press releases and things, just to try and promote the fact that people, when they retire very much early, well, they retire healthier than we used to, and we ought to be trying to capture those people the moment they step off the ladder.
I'd just like to add, this is quite timely because CCVS have recently launched, in partnership with Support Cambridgeshire volunteering sort of website as well. So that's for anybody that wants to volunteer, they can go onto this portal and they can see what opportunities are in their area. Likewise, if an organisation is looking for volunteers, they can advertise for those opportunities as well. So it's something that we have promoted, but we can do further, obviously. I'll take that on board, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Emma, if I might, on page 8, section 7, or 6 and 7, you've got the 2 areas divided by the different organisations. In 7, you've only got the 3. Am I right, or am I wrong, please correct me, that paragraph 5 explains that, i.e. they were less than 10,000, is it monitoring, or is it, have I missed something? Is it why are they separated, basically? Where you've got the 167,400 and the 14,250.
Yeah, so obviously they come from the housing budgets. They are separate. They're ones that the Service Leave for Housing Advice and Options oversees. So we get a report from them as well. We include that in our report. Yeah, does that make sense to the organisations?
It does indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, questions?
I think congratulations.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. Just an observation, actually, and I think we ought to note this, that Cambridge Dial-A-Ride, the extension that we support also includes villages in East Cambs, which I don't believe contribute anything towards Cambridge Dial-A-Ride. So I think that's just something to note, that maybe we ought to be, I know that the combined authority is now looking at the funding of Cambridge Dial-A-Ride, and obviously they cover East Cambs as well as South Cambs in the city. But I was surprised to see that they were providing a service in East Cambs for Bottisham, Quay, Load. but they're not receiving any funding from East Cams to do that. So I can only assume they're using funding from us and the city to do that. So I think that's worth noting, and maybe something we should take up with East Cams.
I believe our funding is just for those parishes that are stated in the reports, but we obviously need to still operate in that area. And I believe that's what the combined authority, I think they were sort of, for the organisation as a whole, trying to improve the viability. And I think in terms of, obviously in our district, I think they're looking into Section 106 funding as well, and sort of looking at the broader picture. But that's something that's all ongoing conversations that are happening at the moment. So I can't provide any more details on that at the moment, but it is being looked into. So, yeah.
Thank you, John and Emma. I kind of agree, actually. I wonder if this is worth a cup of coffee and a jammy dodger for the officers and perhaps the political leads and the various things to sit down and have a chat and go, look, we're doing a really nice thing here. It's a really good thing to do. And the holistic view for our entire area will be that we all work together and equally fund our proportions that we should do. So perhaps that love could be spread, with a little email here and there. All right, thanks. Okay, other than what Sue was about to say, sorry when I cut you off because John was going to speak after you, Sue.
I was just going to say, I think congratulations are in order, both to the authority, but also to the officers for working up these proposals. They are not easy to work up because you find that people are not awfully au fait with filling out forms and saying the right things and things that will help them to get what they want. And I really feel that our officers do an excellent job. There's very few things that we find necessary to say, wait, you've forgotten this bit. Thank you.
Other than when they don't bring biscuits to meetings.
I missed that.
Outrageous. Right, okay, agenda item numbers. Is that it? That's it on that one, 6, yeah? Emma. So we're on to number 7, and I think it's you again, yeah, Emma?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. So page 63, this is the Mobile Warden Scheme Grants End of Year Progress Reports for 2023-24. So like the Service Support Grant...
Emma, I'm so sorry. May I interrupt you? I'm so sorry. I need to take advice from Lawrence. As I'm a trustee of a mobile warden scheme, as is my colleague, yeah, are we okay to stay? We're not voting on anything, any money or anything, are we? It's just...
I'm comfortable that this decision is not being made. There is no need to withdraw, although I would be tempted to suggest a brief adjournment so I can have a look at what we've done in the past with these matters. It's up to you.
What we've done in the past is if any awards of money
You've stepped out.
or a serious decision-making process have gone forward, we've stepped out.
I
But I don't think this is it? Emma, there's nothing, this is just reporting what's gone on. Yeah.
I'm getting a nod from Senior Dem Services that we're okay as we are just reviewing an annual report.
Emma, I am really sorry to have stopped you in your flow. Would you mind resuming? Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. So like the Service Support Grant, these grants are also administered on a 3-year cycle. Funding of £71,708 was provided to 19 schemes for the 2023-24 financial year. During 2023-24, 3 schemes closed, you'll probably be aware of, which are Fulbourn, Teversham and the Harston and District Village Warden Trust, the latter being taken over by Melbourne Mobile Warden Scheme. And this now operates as the Melbourne and District Warden Scheme. So there are now 16 funded schemes, and these cover a total of 49 parishes across the district. 11 are run by Age UK, Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and 5 are independent community schemes. And of these ones, 4 are charities and 1 is run by the parish council. End of year progress reports are summarised in Appendix B and Appendix C. And as you'll see, all are on track to deliver the agreed outputs and objectives. But it's worth noting at this point that there's they're being impacted by the cost of living pressures, the current charging models for clients, minimum wage increases and a reduction in funding from elsewhere. Since last year's report, a decision was made by the lead cabinet member for resources to approve a sum of £100,000 to provide a one-year extension in funding for 2024-25 to schemes currently in receipt of funding. So that's been received, and of that amount, £10,000 plus an additional £5,908 from Cambridgeshire County Council's Care Together Seed Fund was allocated to any new schemes expressing an interest in setting up in the current financial year. 2 applicants have so far been offered funding, £5,000 to Melbourne and District Warden Scheme, and also £5,000 to Age UK. So that's 2 additional, well, actually there's going to be a few parishes within those. So obviously the Age UK one would be Great Abington, Little Abington and Hildesham, and Melbourne and District will be taking on Haslingfield. So as decided at Cabinet on the in March 2024, a supplementary sum of £100,000 was also provided to fund Age UK, Cambridge and Peterborough to provide continuity of service. And finally, as you'll be aware, an in-depth review is being carried out by Rose Regeneration, the findings of which will be with us next week. The upcoming workshop for GAC members, that's the end of this month, I think it's the 19th, will provide more details. But the findings from this will help us to allocate equitable funding beyond the end of March 2025. And I think that's it from me for this one. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Colleagues, any questions, points? Councillor Hanley?
I think thank you. I think the Rose Regeneration report is eagerly awaited, isn't it? I'm certainly interested to see it. A little bit disappointed to read on page 95 that over my parish council has been a bit negative towards the purpose of the scheme. That's really disappointing, to be honest, but not too surprised. No, thanks for the report, and I mean we just do whatever we can to keep the schemes going, because they are, you know, once they stop, they'll be gone. And let's, you know, I know you're working hard, and the council's working hard to keep them going, and let's hope we can. Let's hope we can succeed.
Thank you. Anything to say, Councillor Williams? No. I think I'll join Councillor Handley and obviously my colleagues in thanking you and your team, Emma. This has been a piece of work. The Rose Regeneration has been mentioned as being one heck of a piece of work. Forget the contractors, but what's been going on in the 4 walls here, and the amount of effort and continuous contact to the schemes, as I obviously declared I'm a trustee, so I know the amount of work that's coming out of this building towards us to do. So I'd like to just extend my thanks on this to you guys. It's made life so much easier to do the work that we do. So, as I say, thank you very much. And long may it continue, really. But I suppose that's where I have to stop. Otherwise I get myself in trouble. Right, so thank you. And I take it that's it then, yeah, it's just, we note that and we're done, yeah, okay, with that, thanks. Right, in that case, I move on to 8, agenda item 8, which is the community chest grants. And for this one, Emma gets a rest. No, I've got 8 here. Oh, it's 8 on my list, sorry.
Sorry, so this will be agenda item 7 in your agenda pack, but we varied the order of business.
Yeah.
So it's item 8 as far as we're taking it, but 7 in the agendas.
I can only apologise for the lack of numeral alteration. Oh, yeah, right. Anyway, we're agenda item number 7, and it's Jane to give Emma the rest. Over to you, Jane, thank you.
Thank you. So on page 113, you'll see the breakdown of community funding for this month. And this month obviously is July, the applications we're looking at. We've had 3 applications and they're all for community chests. The applications total this month for £5,183.78, should they all be successful. Okay, so the community chest applications start on page 117. And our first application is from Swavesey Squash Club, which also used to be known as Fenland Squash Club. And so it was formed in 1970, and it has around 200 members of mixed ages. The committee is run by volunteers. And as there's not many squash courts in South Cambridgeshire, people come from other surrounding villages such as Northstowe, Fenstanton, Over and Willingham. The club has 3 squash courts, changing facilities, a viewing and lounge area, and has 5 league teams, making them the second largest club in Cambridgeshire in terms of teams, and it's also the only club that has 2 ladies teams. Around 25% of their members are female, which compares favourably to the national average of only 10%. There's also a growing junior squash programme with lots of enthusiastic players. As I say, the court was built, the actual squash building was built in 1970s, and it has a 3rd court added in the 1980s. They have a licence agreement which gives perpetual rights to the use of the building, so effectively they own the building. Since 2020, they've had a large programme of refurbishment and enhancement of the squash club. They've replaced some of the original floors, they've removed asbestos, replaced lighting, installation of heating, renovation of changing rooms, online booking's been modernised. All of these internal improvements have also helped with the result of a growth of membership. In 2022, all the floors were replaced and the walls of Court 1 were also replastered. As you might remember, the club were awarded £2,000 from the community chest in September 2022. And this went towards their 19,000 budget to help replace 3 floors and replaster Court 1. They sent us an evaluation in time, and with their evaluation, one of their quotes was they were extremely happy with how the project went. Courts look fantastic. They thank us very much for their support and say that they posted their thanks for SCDC on social media. So the new application, it's to remove and replace the plaster on the 2 courts that are remaining. The total costs are £12,000. £2,000 has been requested from the community chest. The parish council have also confirmed that they will fund £1,000, and there's going to be an offer matched of £4,500 from Sport England Movement, providing a crowdfunder also makes £4,500. As a green option, they'll be using a local contractor to minimise the impact of transport. They're using Armour Coat plaster, which, as well as being England squash approved plaster, is also a sustainable produced and full environmental product. As you can see on here from their last evaluation, there is a photograph of the new flooring and the new plastering, which we helped to fund in 2022. And we have support from Councillor Ellington, who says she's happy to support. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. I was actually, when you read out the quote, I was really chuffed. It's rare that we get a thank you. I think always made a difference.
I track them down, Joe, so I do get the evaluations back, usually.
Fabulous. I know. I say thank you very much. It's just, it makes it all feel nice. Colleagues, any points or questions? Anything for officers? Or are we happy to say yes, we agree? Andy?
It's good to see us a thriving club. Actually, I mean, squash is a sport that sort of peaked in the 70s, early 80s, but it's good to see a thriving club and a competitive one. So no, I absolutely support it.
Thank you, Councillor Ellington.
Can I just say, I seem to remember that part of previous funding for them was to provide them with small rackets, because they were starting in junior. So they've got yeah. they're bringing on the young ones, which we're,
It's a successful club. So, okay, so I'm looking around, there's no one saying no. So it's a yes, thank you from us, Jane.
Thank you. Our second application is on page 119, and it's from Hale Road Allotment and Garden Association. And so the Hale Road Allotment and Gardening Association was set up in 2012. The landowner is the Thomas Gallen Charity, and there is a 20-year lease, which was only started in 2021. There's 61 plots, and there's currently 75 members. So some people share a plot, so you can either pay £46 per annum, or you can share a plot at £28 for a half plot. The allotments are also open for visitors. Non-members can walk around, and the site is seen as a leading example in the district for allotments, which gives advice and often provides other parish and representatives with how to set up and manage allotment sites. So what they're requesting is a container for a tractor mower which cuts the grass around the site. It's currently stored at the windmill in Hale Road. However, the windmill is currently in the process of being sold, and so the option for this storage will no longer be viable for them. So they wish to secure a new container to be positioned at the rear of the allotments. So the total cost for the project is £3,024, including VAT, and £2,000 has been requested from the community chest, and £1,000 has also been given by the parish council for this project. So they did consider a recycled container, like a second-hand used container, but with security and longevity, they decided that it was best to go with a new container. And the plan is for the new container, once it's in situ on the allotment, they will be covering it with climbing plants and tall shrubs to make it less viable and to provide the wildlife with a habitat. Once the mower is stored closer to the allotments, it means obviously that there'll be less fuel used to get it back from up the other end of the roads. And we have full support again from Councillor Ellington, who states that the allotments are a credit to the village and provide much pleasure and well-being experiences to many. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Any comments, colleagues? Are we okay? I think it's a very good idea. Councillor Williams?
Yeah, can I ask, obviously a shipping container is going to look a bit out of place, an allotment. Sue, you've got local knowledge of this. I mean, is this likely to cause an issue with, you know, the view or the, you know, the,
sorry, as Bill will verify, the allotments are in the middle of nowhere, so I don't think it's going to be very visible to anybody or cause anybody any issues about view. My only concern would be that if it's too much out of sight, it does need to be awfully secure to ensure people don't pinch the mow. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just add, part of their total costs, so it's £2,550 for the container, £400 for delivery, and then £66 they've said for a high security padlock. So.
Yeah, security's been a problem at Hale Road because it is so far out of the village. As far as being out of sort of, you know, a view being, it's actually quite close to a farm which has some large, some really large agricultural buildings. So actually, John, it won't be that much out of keeping with the rest of the site, to be honest. And as they've said in the report, they're going to cover it with plants and such. So within a year or two, it should be pretty well hidden.
okay, that sounds fine. Yeah, okay. They might also consider painting it a suitable colour so it doesn't stand out.
Thank you. If you look at the picture for the new container, which is one they want, on the front there's like a little metal box just above the handles that open up. That's part of the higher security thing. The padlocks have to go up. You have to put your hand in and then slide it across, push up and lock, so you can't get the angle grinders in to grind off the padlocks. But it does look like it's pretty good actually. So I think we're in agreement, are we, that we're okay with this? Yeah. Okay, it's another one then, Jane. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so our third and final application is page 122, and it's Duxford Community Centre. And so Duxford Community Centre is a charity group that formed in 2014. Its trustees are responsible for running the community centre, making sure of long-term viability and offering charitable support to other worthy groups that operate within the village. The community centre and its cafe are accessed by those both residing in Duxford and surrounding villages, and they also offer a variety of different classes and activities. So the charity inherited some cycle stands where a single wheel would be locked. However, these have been shown to easily damage the wheels, and it's been observed that those arriving by bike tend not to use these and will lock up against the railings of the children's playgrounds instead. So what they've requested is the larger racks. Okay, so the total cost to purchase and install the Sheffield style hoop racks that will store up to 12 bikes is £1,183.78, all of which has been requested from the community chest. So the parish council have not been asked on this occasion to make a contribution, as they have recently replaced some unsatisfactory gravel on the driveway for the community centre with a tarmac finish, which obviously is making it easier for pedestrians and cyclists to access the community centre. The Duxford Community Centre, they'll be making the purchase as well as owning and maintaining the stands. And obviously, you know, with the cycling, it promotes the resident fitness, encourages users of the community centre to cycle, and obviously will help reduce car use and road wear and tear throughout the village and cut down on carbon emissions. We have support from Councillor Peter MacDonald, who's in full support of the application. And also support from Duxford Parish Council, who say since the opening of the Duxford Community Centre in 2020, we are welcoming an ever-increasing number of cyclists to the recreation centre. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Comments, colleagues? Councillor Williams?
Yeah, I have to declare that I do actually pop in sometimes for a coffee. Very nice community centre.
Just to be clear, there are other community centres around the area. There, one where Thank you, Councillor Williams. That's great. Anybody else? No? I think that's a case where it's a lovely idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, appendix. Oh yeah, please. Appendix.
Emma's now going to discuss a slight criteria change for the community chest moving forward.
Yeah, please, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So leading on, we've had a few queries on eligibility recently. We've had discussions, I know, on this, but we thought it would be good to suggest some criteria changes to make it clearer to anyone thinking about applying. We believe that this would help save time for both officers and applicants alike. So you'll see a table that's been provided in Appendix C, just with the changes, obviously the section of the criteria, the current wording and the suggested wording. Firstly, quite a simple change. Now that we have town councils, we're going to obviously put in town councils alongside parish councils. In the section about what cannot be funded, we're perhaps wanting your thoughts on whether we should sort of say activities, events or services that have already taken place, so retrospective applications, perhaps that might be considered to be not included. And also what cannot be funded, another section. And this is one that we tend to have quite a lot of queries on, don't we, Jane? Relating to infrastructure projects. So breaking this down, we first considered what our definition of an infrastructure project should be, and we've come up with something that alters anything that alters the structure or fabric of a building or land. So that would be things like walls, flooring, roofs and paths. And then we wanted to make it clear that if an applicant is not the parish or town council and the project is on parish council or town council owned land, then they would not be eligible to apply. However, like a lot of our criteria, there's a few exceptions, and this would be any biodiversity or cost of living application, or any project where the applicant has a long-term lease, and when we say long-term lease, we mean over 25 years, in place with the parish or town council, and where any project does not have a major impact on the fabric of the building. So if you've got perhaps maybe some recent applications, we've had blinds and things like that, planters or seating areas, things that aren't the sort of major fabric of the building affecting it, applications would still be eligible. But in all of these cases where there's a few exceptions, we would probably welcome a 50% financial contribution from the parish or town council. And then leading on to the next part of the table, how much can be applied for. We just wanted to expand this section, stating that where appropriate, applicants are encouraged to seek part funding from other sources, including their parish or town council. Just adding that little bit in there. And then into what are the conditions of funding. We're just expanding this section slightly to highlight that it is projects on parish or town council owned building or lands, and provide an example. So this is where we've got infrastructure projects that are funded through the scheme. The applicants will be expected to demonstrate that the same organisation will be purchasing, owning and maintaining the equipment or items. So this could be perhaps when we've got things where we just want to be quite clear that VAT is obviously a bit of an issue that we've encountered before. This would sort of cover those kind of issues that we have if you haven't got the same organisation. Because obviously some organisations can claim back the VAT, so I hope that makes it a bit clearer, but please ask if there's anything you want to discuss.
Okay, thank you, Emma. Right, your colleagues all understand all that, yeah? That was a great one. I have a question or two. It's to do with what cannot be funded section, where the exceptions are. When we ask, have you got a lease? Generally speaking, they come back, yeah, we've got a 15-year lease. But say 11 years of that have been used up. Does that then negate, because they had a 25, 30-year lease? So that's the question there.
I think that might be something that I'm happy to go with what you decide. So, that's just a rule that we sort of came up with this consideration. So I think we've always typically said, maybe 25 more years to run on it, but I'm obviously welcome to your opinions, what you think it should be. It doesn't necessarily have to be that.
I kind of have a conflict of interest here, but if I say my conflict of interest so that the member for finance and what have you goes back away, or you, essentially quite a number, we talked about Duxford just earlier. There's Melbourne, which is another community space. I know Melbourne's got a 35-year lease, so as of, assuming this comes in this year, next year, if we went to the 25 years, Melbourne Community Hub would fall out of that category, as the building is wholly owned by the parish council, which it does maintain and everything else. So I think Duxford is of the same ilk. They came to us for the model. So there are arguments to say, potentially, if you had a very long lease to start, the commitment from the parish would exist, if you like. It wasn't like a 2-year lease and then you get whatever. I'm just chucking it out there for discussion, really. So I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this, John.
I think this needs to be tied to the length of the life of whatever it is that we're purchasing. And I think for most purchases, we will expect, because most of the things we purchase, sort of lawnmowers or kitchens or that sort of thing, capital things, we will expect them to last at least probably 10 years. So I would suggest that what we should be saying is that there should be at least 10 years lease left at the time that the work is, not the time of application, but the time that the piece of equipment or the refurb or whatever the physical capital work is to be done. So at least we know that the organisation that we're giving it to are going to use it for at least 10 years, which is probably the life of whatever it is we're going to fund. And that we, as you say, we won't find the next year the parish council coming back and taking that over. But I think to suggest, how long should they have a lease for? The difficulty there, as you quite rightly highlighted, Chair, is that they may have a 25-year lease, but they may have already used up 15 years of that 25-year lease or whatever, and therefore are not eligible. So I would like us to think about, how long should we ensure that what we're purchasing is used by the people that we've given the money to. And I say, I would have thought that probably 10 years, given the capital, whether it's for repainting a building or putting new windows in or putting new blinds or providing a tractor or providing a lawnmower or a piece of football kit. At least some of it not going to last 10 years, but most, for some of the larger items, 10 years would be reasonable. So long as they have a lease of 10 years, then I think that would cover our backs, really, and that we don't get to a situation where we find that within a couple of years that equipment is being used by someone else, or it goes back to the parish council, which could have the means to purchase that in the first place without coming from the parish without coming through the district council. I don't know if is that reasonable, do you think, Emma?
I think that's a very good idea. Yeah, I'm happy to make that change if that's what you would like.
Colleagues, anything else to add to what John said and any other pointers for Emma and the team?
That seems a very reasonable thing to do, in my opinion.
Okay, so I think we're all happy with this. I can see a lot of applications dropping away now, straight away, which is fine because there's a lot of applications, that do qualify and maybe. So, thank you again, Emma and team, for the work you're putting on this one. I think this is kind of like a movable feast. Circumstances change in the grants world, don't they? So we seem to find this all the time, that something tweaks. You have to tweak it every now and then. This is a mid-term tweak. So when will this be going live, by the way?
We can implement it. So obviously, once call-in has passed, we can change the website and make the amendments. So any applications?
So as we're advisory, we're advising lead member who takes it to cabinet, and then it gets put through that way, yeah?
I mean, you might want to say to me, obviously for big items of capital equipment, so someone's buying a sight screen for a cricket club or a mower, or it's refurbishing a kitchen, that 10 years is reasonable. You might, though, come back to me and say, if we're giving someone some money to start a new club, or we're giving a football team some money for kit to start a junior team, you might then think, well, actually 10 years is quite a long time. So we might want to consider, you know, if it's not a substantial piece of capital equipment that's going to last 10 years, then I think Emma could have the leeway of coming to us and asking if we would reconsider that criteria for that particular piece of kit. Because obviously I'm thinking that we have in the past given money to help a football club, for example, start up a junior team, and you know they might have a lease on their ground from the parish council, but that might only be, I don't know, 5 years or something. Well, it's clear that the kit's going to, you know, it's not going to last more than probably a couple of years, to be honest with you. So maybe in those circumstances you wouldn't want to apply the 10-year rule. But I wonder that discretion should be left to you to decide. But for as I say, in normal situations where we are dealing with a substantial capital item, then that 10-year rule should apply.
While you've got your mind thinking that, then I'll refer to the two community centres that we spoke about earlier. It's something that at Melbourne we've discovered actually, which was a surprise to us, that both of those, Duxford and Melbourne, operate a commercial cafe, if you like, so to speak, for the community. So the tables and chairs, it would appear, have a life, where you'd think there may be 10, 15 years of, they don't. They have something in the region of 5 years life, and you should be looking at replacement purely because of a health and safety issue. So that might be something we might want to think about, because the amount of community work they do is extraordinary. Actually, I know both do. So it might be something we may need to consider in that kind of genre, so to speak.
Well, we could ask, couldn't you, because these people have accounts, you know, what do they write those items off over? How many years have those items been written off over? Because you know, in the case of Melbourne, in your accounts, you should be writing off those items so that you can replace them in 5 years' time.
It was a learning curve. It was a very sharp learning curve. I think. Okay, well that's fine. It's there to ask or not. Yeah. Okay. Right. In that case, thank you. Some food for thought for bits and pieces and a little tweak here and there of this. That's lovely. Thank you very much. So as I say, when will this go live? Next month? Oh, no, it's after Go Sleep. Yeah, big pardon, I forgot. Yeah, there you go. So it's going to be be September, won't it? Give or take.
I'll jump in on the timetables.
If you have to Lawrence, he's got the timetables. So.
Yeah, so just for clarity's sake, I know Cabinet was mentioned. Amendments to criteria for level 1 grant schemes. The gift lays with the League Cabinet member for resources to make. So it'll be a case of League Cabinet member making a decision, a 5-day call-in period, at which point decision would be implemented. So my take on it would be is actually most applications received in August would continue under the current criteria, and then it would be the round of applications starting in September that would likely be subject to the new criteria. I'm getting nice nods from colleagues, so I think that is the case.
So I'm thinking then that if Emma and colleagues can do their tweaks and what have you, liaise with Councillor Williams, make sure he's au fait with it. We're au fait with those changes that come forward, we've discussed now. That's fabulous. So we'll run with it, and as you say, go live for the grants committee in September. do we need to write out as a separate a letter to the parishes, especially the parishes who may or may not think that they can make an application? I think it really would be fair to let them know that this is a significant change as far as they're concerned. All right, thank you. Right, okay. Orla, thank you for waiting so patiently. So this is agenda item 8, zero carbon community grants. Over to you, Orla, thank you.
Thanks very much. I should have a few slides to go along with this little spiel I'm going to give. Excellent. Thank you, Lawrence. So yeah, I'm just going to start with a quick overview of the fundamentals of the grant. So, oh, closer. Okay, good. Yeah. So, as in, I think the past 2 years, we've run the grant inviting applications under 2 themes. So the first is for projects that reduce carbon emissions or lock up carbon, and the second for projects that achieve wider community engagement around climate change and promote positive behaviour change and sort of more sustainable living. Projects were invited for amounts between £2,000 and £15,000 with a total pot of £125,000. And the application window ran this year from the 2nd of April to the 2nd of June, and we provided the usual sort of package of support for applicants, including our online grant application workshop, which we hosted on the 24th of April this year. So yeah, this grant has run annually since 2019, and we have 2 rounds of the grant funding remaining. So the grant is funded from the Renewables Reserve, and the sort of ZCC allocated pot is due to run out after what will be the 8th round of this grant in 2026 to 2027. As in previous years, we've gone for this, sort of followed this approximately 70-30% funding split between the carbon category and the community category. And yeah, the sort of proposal, the funding proposal that the report sets out awards the full £125,000, so it's quite sort of neat this year. Next slide, please, Lawrence. Thank you. So just to kind of go over some of our methodology in the carbon category, we calculate a kind of baseline score for each project for how well they fulfil their theme. Sort of by finding a figure for the avoided emissions, so in kilograms of CO2 equivalent per pound of funding requested, and this gives us a bit of an indication of value for money, and sort of you can compare projects a bit more like. Also this year we updated the guidance to request that solar projects get 3 separate quotes, and this was broadly complied with this year. And just an observation, the average ask from the grant for a solar PV project reduced by about £2,000, so that may or may not be related to that rule implementation, but just thought it was interesting. And good to see that community groups are getting kind of competitive quotes as well. Yeah, so the projects in the carbon category, there was sort of range of community building retrofit projects, plus 1 sort of large-scale wetland creation project as well. So yeah, a total of, in the report, 84,220 is the recommended award in this theme across 7 projects, so 7 different organisations. And there are only 2 projects that aren't recommended for funding for reasons that are detailed in the main body of the report. So that was Milton Parish Council's solar PV project and yeah, the Cambridge Past, Present and Future Wetlands project. Next slide, please, thank you. And then in the community category, so yeah, £40,780 recommended spend in this theme across 4 projects and 3 organisations. So the proposal leaves 3 projects unfunded. However, these were all under £2,000, so they can be redirected to the community chest. And Cambridge Carbon Footprint is recommended for funding again for 2 projects. Those are both projects that officers felt aligned really closely with the council's own work. So whether that's in promoting repair and diverting waste, particularly electrical waste from landfill in the case of the repair cafes, and then with the open eco homes, that's aligns very closely with the council's own work in retrofit and energy efficiency and more for that kind of self-funding market. And then Let's Cook, the Let's Cook project is recommended for funding again, following their successes in the previous year, and again, yeah, aligning with our work to create a more sort of sustainable food culture in South Cambridgeshire. And you will notice that it's proposed that Cambridge Carbon Footprint receive a slightly reduced award for each project, not the full amount that they requested, and that's just to make sure there's enough money kind of left over for that group. Climate Change Gardening also gave a strong application, and they're sort of accessing the grant for the first time as well, so we did kind of leave space. Yeah, I think that's my last one. Is there one more? No, that's it. Yeah, so that was a quick overview. I guess the kind of lay of the land this year with applications. So, yeah, I'll welcome any questions.
Thank you, Ola. First of all, just like to welcome Councillor Harvey, Jeff Harvey from the Climate Committee. Are you the Vice Chair? Or are you acting Chair now?
No, I think that's a bit Eglings is still in the driving.
Okay.
At least not really under the circumstance. At least one more period as Chair, so.
Okay, well, welcome anyway. Please feel free at any point, since this is much more your field of expertise than perhaps ours. So, Ola, are we going to go through now and make a decision on just the recommendations, or do we want to discuss any particular one? I have a question or two, if I may. I think we'll just suck it and see. Okay, so if I might, it's the community engagement projects, if you like, you know, where the ones that are obviously listed in green are the ones that are recommended for approval. The requested amount of the 3 that didn't make it is £1,694. Is there any budget left from either the carbon emissions, lock-up carbon side of it, and then obviously the community side? Is there any budget left at all?
No, so the proposal, as it's laid out, that's the full £125,000. I think, yeah, it's kind of also the kind of lower limit for the projects we do advise is £2,000. That's in our guidance. So while, you know, these were nice projects, we feel that they're better suited to the community chest. Yeah.
That's great. Have they been advised that they should come to the community chest?
Well, following call-in and decision notice, yeah, we can give that advice.
I would be very grateful, yeah. Thank you. Cheers. Okay, over to colleagues. Councillor Hanley?
Sorry, this is just a procedural point for Lawrence. Overday Centre is one of the bids. Overday Centre is in my village. Although I'm not a trustee anymore, obviously I need to declare non-pecuniary interest there. I don't think I will make any comments on it.
Councillor Ellington?
Thank you. I'd just like to, I was looking at the carbon emissions group, and I suppose looking at the explanation of what is being asked for on page 150, just taking the example of Overday Centre, Kingston Village Hall and Milton Parish Council, just because one follows the other quite neatly. But I perhaps have some difficulty in understanding where, if the solar system is estimated for Kingston Village Hall to be saving whatever that figure is, and for Milton it's saving a greater figure, why one is offered, is it just because we've run out of money after the Over David Centre, or is it that there is a, it just seems very difficult to explain to the individuals who have put the applications in quite where they've fallen foul of the cut. Does that all make sense?
Yeah. So carbon emissions, the avoided carbon emissions is one part of the picture, and then there are two other assessment criteria, so additional value. So that's things like match funding, volunteer effort, the expert input that they've had, and also the third one is sort of lifetime impact and the sustainability of the project. So Milton Parish Council's application didn't score as well in those dimensions, so overall came out lower scoring. It just wasn't a very detailed application in that case. So yeah, we obviously the avoided carbon emissions are very important. How they fulfil that theme is important, but it is also a picture of the kind of the additional value of the project, and I guess how sort of fleshed out the application is in demonstrating that value to the wider community as well.
Sorry. So would you be able to go back to those that have just fallen short of the mark and say you might apply in the future if there's funding, and these are the areas you need to be looking at and so on? Just feel that people might be extremely disappointed and look over the fence and see somebody else has done quite well. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we will be emailing each applicant, obviously, and we do try to offer feedback to kind of contextualise that decision a bit, and encourage repeat applications as well. And these are big projects, and it is challenging for organisations to pull together the funding for these things. So yeah, we do try and be as sort of proactive and comprehensive as we can be in our feedback to support reapplication.
Okay, we've had this in the past quite a lot actually, with lots of different applications, come to you in a sec, where it's probably the wrong description to say some people have put more work in than others, but actually it's not far short. It was one of on Monday, one of the applications there was, it was kind of just taken as read that there was money available, and as long as it was okay, it would be fine. We soon made comment, and that was sent back. So, yeah, I suppose the encouragement is then from us is to, in capital letters, underlined and in red, if you like, as detailed and as whichever kind of application you want to do may help your case. I think we really do need to make people work at what they're going to be doing here. It's not just a cash cow. Okay, Councillor Hanley.
Thank you, Chair. You've stolen my thunder a bit.
I apologise.
No,
sorry.
I was just going to make the point. So I know through an application in my village that all our officers support applicants throughout the process, because they need to get it right, to be fair to them and to be fair to the officers who are making the judgments. And I know for certain that they were very grateful to the expertise and the advice that was given prior to them putting their application in. So it's kind of explaining that the organisation will do as good an application with help. But at the end of the day, as Joe said, it depends how much time and effort they put in.
I think it goes without saying that I think at this juncture is a perfect opportunity to thank Orla and your colleagues who work on this. We sound like a broken record in here, quite frankly. We experience every month the amount of work that officers from this council put into doing the work of the council. And I include our colleagues in Dem Services, obviously, as they're sitting next to me. I don't want to upset them. But we have to say and re-emphasise the fact that our officers are second to none, and you have our deepest gratitude for what you do. So thanks. So how would you like to proceed with this, Orla? I mean, would you like to go through each application at a time, or are we going to take the recommendation as made?
Chair, is there a need to go through them one by one? I'm not sure there is.
Councillor Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, I've already gone through them before this meeting, and I'm satisfied with the scoring and the recommendations. So, if you don't want to go through in any detail, fine.
Let me just say on that note, I'm very thankful you've done that, and I think we're very grateful to the lead member of finance, or resource, whatever you call yourself now, right? The money man, right? Say thank you very much, and well, in that case, Orla, it's going to be a lot shorter than what you thought. So I think we accept the recommendations from your good self and the lead member. So that's fabulous. Mm-hmm. And obviously you said you're going to write out to those unsuccessful. And I'd say those three who didn't make it on their communities especially could be redirected. Councillor Harvey, thank you.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the Climate and Environment Advisory Committee and Chair Pippa Halings, again, our thanks for a great, well-administered grant scheme that's really, over the years you can see the effects it's having. So great work, thank you.
In that case, it leaves me the task of saying thank you very much to everyone who came today, colleagues, officer colleagues, member colleagues, and the hundreds and hundreds of people today that were out on the link to viewing. I just saw one disappear quickly. So, it could well be, but it has to be said, this is a very popular committee, really, and it's really nice to serve on this. So, as I say, thank you very much. Have a safe trip home, and we'll see you on the 29th of August, bright and breezy, and holidayed perhaps. So that's good. Thank you.